Girls and boys, welcome to this episode. Today we are going to learn physics and our topic is electrostatics. So I like approaching these topics in terms of questions. So each topic we'll be learning, I would like to handle it in terms of questions. So the first question that I'm going to ask from this topic is, what is electrostatics? Yes, can you write your answer? Now, electrostatics is the study of electric charges that are not in motion. Electrostatics is the study of electric charges that are not in motion. Instead of being negative, I can be positive by avoiding the word not and say electrostatics is the study of electric charges at rest. The study of electric charges at rest. Question number 2. Name two types of charges. Name two types of charges. We do have two types of charges, that is positive charges and negative charges. Again, positive charges and negative charges. Thank you. Question number 3. State the SI unit of charge. State the SI unit of charge. The SI unit of measuring charge, of course, is Coulomb. Coulomb. You know that famous physicist? Coulomb. Anytime you are stating the SI unit symbol, it must be in capital letter for charge. So C is capital. Question number 4. State the law of charges. It is also called the basic law of charges. State the basic law of charges. This law states that like charges repel while unlike charges attract. Like charges repel while unlike charges attract. So if you bring two charges that are of similar kind, they will repel each other. However, if you bring two charges of different charge, they will attract. In essence, what I mean by this is that if you bring a positive charge, a positively charged body close to another positively charged body, they'll repel each other. However, if you bring a positively charged body close to a negatively charged body, they will attract each other. Question 5. I want to emphasize on this question because with my experience as a teacher, I've realized that this is one question that is so challenging to very many students. Briefly explain the origin of charge. Already, we know that we have two types of charges, that is negative and positive charges. In other words, what we are saying is that a body can be positively charged or a body can be negatively charged. So how does a body end up being negatively charged or positively charged? I'm going to give it in steps. So 1, you need to understand the nature of materials. All materials can be said to be made up of matter. As you know, matter is anything that occupies space and has weight. So the basic building blocks of matter are atoms. So matter is made up of atoms. Yes? You know that? Thank you. An atom has nuclear and energy level. Inside the nuclear, we have protons and neutrons. Outside, that is in the orbits or the energy level, we have electrons. I'm so interested with protons and electrons. Protons are positively charged and electrons are negatively charged. So point number 2 should read, an atom has equal number of protons and neutrons. An atom has equal number of protons and electrons. So how do we end up having a material which is positively charged or negatively charged? So imagine a material with very many atoms. If that material is made to lose electron, the atom that will remain behind will be having more protons than electrons. Can you see that? Let's say an atom had 10 protons and 10 electrons. Then it loses 3 electrons. So it means the number of protons is still 10, but the number of electrons are now 7. Don't you see that now the number of positive charges, that is protons, are more than the number of negative charges, that is electrons. So when a material loses electrons, it becomes positively charged because the number of protons exceeds the number of electrons. On the other hand, the material that gains electrons end up having more electrons than protons. It end up having more negative charges than positive charges. So the material become negatively charged. So in short, how do we end up with positively charged material when that material loses electrons? How do we end up with a negatively charged material when that material gains electrons? I hope now you can be able to explain this. I'm going through it once and for all, saying matter is made up of atoms. Atoms are made up of electrons, which are negatively charged, and protons, which are positively charged. Protons never move. Protons never move. Protons never move. The only thing that can move there are electrons. So if a material loses electrons, it becomes positively charged. And if a material gains electrons, it becomes negatively charged. Thank you. Thank you for becoming an attentive listener. Now, consider material A and B initially electrically neutral. Why? What do we mean by that? A material that is not charged has equal number of positive charges and negative charges. That is, protons and neutrons and electrons are equal. Now, what if we transfer some of the electrons from material A to material B? As you can see from now our next diagram, material A has lost some of its electrons and material B has gained those electrons. As you can see from now this diagram, the number of positive charges are more than the number of negative charge, so that material becomes positively charged. This material that has gained electrons has very many extra electrons. The number of electrons here exceeds the number of positive charges, so this material becomes negatively charged. There is this element I want you to understand from the start, so that as we continue not get confused, that a material that is positively charged does not mean has only positive charges. No. It only means that the number of positive charges are more than the number of negative charges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against 1, 2. A material that is negatively charged does not mean it has only negative charges. No. It only means the number of negative charges far exceed the number of positive charges. So like here we can see number of negative charges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. While the number of positive charges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this material become negatively charged. Make sure you remember that point. A positively charged material has more positive charges than negative charges. A negatively charged material has more negative charges than the positive charges. Imagine that you have a suspended positively charged body and a rod that is also positively charged. What will happen if you bring the positively charged rod close to the one that is suspended? Answer: they will repel each other. Positive and positive, those are like charges. Like charges repel. So, observation, there will be repulsion. On the other hand, if you have a positively charged body being brought near a negatively charged rod suspended, the observation will be that they will attract each other. Attraction will occur. Why? They are unlike charges. So anytime you are giving an answer in physics, you must support it. Observation, attraction will occur. Explanation, unlike charges attract. We already know that we can end up having materials that are either negatively charged or positively charged. So how do we charge bodies? How can we charge bodies? Basically, there are 4 ways in which you can charge bodies, namely 1. Friction method or rubbing method. 2. Induction method. 3. Contact method. And 4. Separation method. Thank you very much for being an attentive listener. I ask you please to subscribe from below, so that in the next episode we may talk about how to charge materials through these 4 methods. But as we wind up, I would like to review what we have gone through today. So 1, what is electrostatics? It's the study of electric charges are traced? 2. Name two types of charges, positive charges and negative charges. State the SI unit of charge, that is Coulomb. Number 4, state the law of charges. Like charges repel, while unlike charges attract. Briefly explain the origin of charge. All materials are made up of atom. An atom is made up of electrons and protons. Electrons are negatively charged, protons are positively charged. If a material loses electrons, it ends up becoming positively charged. If a material gains electrons, it ends up becoming negatively charged. Our last question was, state 4 ways of charging materials. State 4 ways of charging materials. Friction method, contact method, induction method, and separation method. Thank you. Thank you so much. May God bless you.